Welcome back to this top 5 games of my childhood for the PlayStation 1. I'm also in the progress of making one for the PlayStation 2 because those are the two consoles that I played when I was a kid. When the PS3 came out, of course I was over 18, so I wasn't a kid anymore. And these games I'll be showing you kind of defines my entire experience with the PlayStation of my childhood. Now I am not including any Final Fantasy games because they will by far take the top spot. They are my most cherished, my most amazing experience that I had as a kid playing games. And I just wanted some other games to take the spotlight this time. So without further ado, on number 5 we have Kingsfield. This is Dark Souls, Demon Souls, all these games are a successor, a spiritual successor to Kingsfield. Now, I grew up with Warhammer, Dungeons and Dragons and all these kind of fancy games, and I love them. So you have to realize, as a kid playing Kingsfield, a 3D, it felt open world, dungeon crawler, going to towns, buying weapons, selling weapons, fighting enemies, fighting bosses. It was amazing, but the game was really hard, and as a kid some things I just couldn't understand how the hell it worked. Why was I dying all the freaking time? It was maybe a bit too challenging for me as a kid, but it didn't matter. I just tried it over and over and over again. And a funny tidbit, when the PS3 came out, that is the time I completed Kingsfield for the first time. Kingsfield is by far one of the most cherished games I have in my collection because of my childhood. What a great game this was. What a lot of fun times, but scary times. I remember being really scared of this game, like the really eerie soundtrack and the way the way he like slashes his sword, and when he got hit and when he died, the screaming. And I remember there was one area with a lot of ants, giant ants, and the boss was like this giant mother ant. Holy shit, I was scared shitless for that giant ant. Really weird. But Kingsfield, what an amazing game. Now as a kid I of course didn't have money, so I had to rely on my dad buying the games, and he weirdly bought the right games, and one of these were Breath of Fire 3. So we were playing Final Fantasy 7, he was playing Final Fantasy 7, I was playing Final Fantasy 7, and I'm not really sure why or when, but for some reason he saw this game or heard about this game, saw a review of it. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna buy it. He actually never talks about video games, he hates video games as of right now, whatever. But Breath of Fire 3, what an incredible adventure that was. Just like Kingsfield, as a kid playing Final Fantasy 7 and then seeing this game, this really open world game, it felt so much larger, so much epicer than Final Fantasy 7, and all these secrets, the trainers you could find, trying to get all the gems to making you a perfect dragon. The absolutely epic storyline Breath of Fire 3 had. It's such a shame Capcom is not making any RPGs anymore. Yeah, there is new Breath of Fire mobile shit game, whatever. Breath of Fire 3, what a fantastic game of my childhood. Now on the PlayStation 1 there was 2 games we played when friends came over. It was or Quake 2 on a 4-player multi-tap, or of course Tekken 3. Now this is the only fighting game ever that I actually learned all the combos, every freaking thing that you could learn of one character I learned, and I always played the king because I always said I am the king, game king, so I played king, really weird. But I was really good at playing king. I was so damn good that most of my friends or just people that came over to play games, they were like, oh no, you can't play with Tekken, you can't play with King, you're too good, blah 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 blah. The only character that I had like a little bit of a difficulty with was Eddie, because he was so cheap, only pressing like circle and square to gain a lot of combos. But holy shit, all the amazing experiences with Tekken 3, what a fantastic game it was. Now, as I already mentioned, I grew up with Warhammer and everything fantasy, so of course my dad had to get Warhammer Dark Omen. Now, I actually played at the tabletop the Imperial Army, so you have to think about a little kid seeing his Imperial Army on a big screen, and you could control them, fight against goblins, orcs, the undead. You could have high elves, you could have grilled knights, you could have ogres in your army. I'm like, holy shit, it felt so epic at that time. It felt so, holy shit, wow, I'm actually playing a Warhammer game and I'm actually seeing them fighting, seeing them do battle. It was really weird as a kid how you see things. But I do remember that I had like a strategy guide on one of the PlayStation magazines, and I remembered everything. I remembered every enemy that came at this direction, every special item you could get, every boss enemy, every level. I knew everything, and even then I still played the game over and over and over again. It just never got boring. I remember a couple of years ago actually, I started playing this game again, and I think I stopped when you're actually going to Count Dracula. Was it Count Dracula? I think it was. And then for some reason I stopped playing. But Warhammer Dark Omen, if you're a fan of strategy games, if you are a fan of Warhammer, you have to get this. Now, talking about number one, and actually talking about Final Fantasy games being the top spot, there is actually one game that potentially could actually have a bigger impact on my childhood than any Final Fantasy game. And that is Diablo. Holy shit, the first time I played this game, I was scared as hell of the music, of the characters, but it was so interesting. And when we finally learned how to play the game, we couldn't stop playing. We spent so many weekends playing Diablo, so many hours, so many nights. Me and my brother were just playing this game year in, year out, year in, year out. Even when the PlayStation 2 came out, we were still playing Diablo. I'm not joking, we were die-hard Diablo fans. When Diablo 2 came out, and my dad had a PC and my mom didn't, they are divorced, we were like playing Diablo 2 with in my dad, and we were playing Diablo 1 at home with my mother. I'm like, holy shit, this is by far the most played game of all time for me. Not even all the PlayStation 1 games combined, I still play Diablo more. I mean, holy shit, I am still playing Diablo. I mean, last year I started playing Diablo again. Diablo has such a huge impact in my life, and it was such a disappointment how Diablo 3 turned out to be. And it was such a relief that they figured out that they're doing something wrong and they changed everything. Diablo 3 is by far my most played game on the PS4. It's absolutely fantastic. But Diablo started all these memories I had playing Diablo. Oh my god, holy shit. This must have been, with Final Fantasy, the biggest impact in my life. The most time I spent playing games is Diablo. Holy shit, Diablo was awesome. So these were the top 5 or just 5 games that I played and spent the most time with on the PlayStation 1 in my childhood. Now I do want to say, you know, games like Metal Gear Solid, I had such a lot of fun. Games like Tomb Raider, I had such a lot of fun playing these games. But I played them once or twice or 3 times, and that's pretty much it. These games I spent, oh my god, hundreds of hours playing. Leave in the comments below what are your top 5 most favorite, most cherished games of your childhood. It doesn't need to have a PlayStation. If you're older or you had a Super Nintendo, leave it in the comments below. I mean, I predicted a couple
number 4
of
we have the boss art of Fighting Force.